Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome for another edition of Wealth Coffee Chats. My name is Damien Hauser, one of the leading specialists here in Positive Money. And I've also got here with me Sarah Shome, who's also a leading specialist here at Positive Money as well. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Damien. How are you going? And a special hi to Jeff and Courtney as well in the chat.
Now, I can't believe it is Friday already, and it is almost the end of March. It's like, where has this year gone? Now? Absolutely. Yeah. Now, today, obviously, Kang is not available today, so you have got the dynamic duo here at Positive Money, and I'll let Sarah talk to you about what we're going to be talking about on today's topic. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Damien. So what I wanted to go through today off the back of a lot of the federal budget that's come out, or the proposed budget, and also there's a lot of chat now with rates decreasing, and that predicts what may happen in the future. We're getting a lot of inquiries now from people that want to get into the property market, but still aren't 100% sure how to actually take that first step. And I think, we get a lot of good advice, particularly here on Wealth Coffee Chats. There's a lot of information in our hands, but when it actually comes to taking the first step, sometimes you can be a little bit lost, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, particularly if it's your first time into the property market. So what I wanted to do was just go through and break it down, what we can do to actually start your property journey. So the first one with that is understanding your finances. Okay, so looking at your employment, looking at your income, savings that you may have. What is your savings history? Are you renting? That can also help with some lenders as well. What's your credit history? What's your credit score? And understanding that. Okay. Then also looking at, I think, setting the expectation. This is one that I talk a lot with my clients, is that, have a look on the internet and see what it is that you think that you can afford to buy. Do the numbers quickly. And there's lots of calculators on Google at the moment. Probably the best one would be anything off the Money Smart government website, so then it's not influenced by any particular lender. But if you do those sorts of basic homework, when you actually sit down with us as brokers, we've got a little bit more of a conversation to go off. It's all well and good for me to work out a borrowing capacity of, a purchase price of, let's say, $750, but if you're only wanting to spend, let's say, $650, for example, then we're on a different wavelength. So I think doing these little homework things beforehand is a really good idea so that we can have a more in-depth conversation. The other thing around that as well is that there are lots of things available to first-home buyers, and you would have heard Jason talk about this a lot, and it's definitely one that we speak a lot with our clients. But there are quite a few different things on the market at the moment, so I just wanted to sort of demystify that a little bit. The first one would be the stamp duty exemptions. Okay, so it varies from state to state, and if it's metropolitan or regional. But there are, for first home buyers, exemptions to stamp duty. Now, that could be a full exemption or it could be a concessional exemption as well. And when you sit with us as mortgage brokers, that's something that we can go through with you. There's also the first home owners grant, which is the $10,000 rebate for new builds up to $750,000. There's the home buyer fund, which is the low deposit scheme. This can also help with avoiding mortgage insurance and things like that, because the government will act as the mortgage insurer is probably the easiest way to explain it. And that means that, for your lending and the deal that we can do for you, that yes, we're borrowing more, but there's better rates and things like that for you as the consumer or as the borrower. There's also talk around this Help to Buy scheme that's just come out in the recent budget. Again, that's coming off the back of that home buyer low deposit scheme where we're borrowing, and you could borrow with as little as 2%. Okay, but the government does own a co-share in your property. Then I guess the next steps that you would need to take, so you have a firm understanding of your personal financial situation. You're now understanding what grants may be available to you as well as a first home buyer. Then obviously it would be around sitting down and starting to prepare your team. Okay, so that's we've got access here, very fortunate here to have access to the 6-star team. As mortgage brokers, we would obviously help guide you as far as we can in terms of lending and options and grants and exemptions and so on, and advice. Then you've got mentoring and all those sorts of things to help you get prepared in other areas, even property management once you're up and running. So there's lots of different areas that we can help support you with that. The other part to this as well is that there's a lot of I see a lot of inquiries coming from our clients now that may have a home already and they want to get into the investment market, and when they do the figures they feel a little bit stuck. So again, it's about having conversations with us as your brokers and getting your team together, because there are things that we can do to help you build equity in your home. So debt reduction strategies and so on, to quickly help you pay off your home, to build that equity, and then we can use that to go on and invest. And so it's all about building your money story is the best way that I can explain it. And the money story for everybody is really individual. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the next. So it's about tailoring it all. Question from Courtney: if someone has a second job, how long do they need to have pay slips? Really interesting question, because it's very broad. Okay, so if it's casual, then you would be looking at a minimum 12 months, because with lenders, casual employment does make things not more difficult. I think that's too harsh of a word, but it makes it more challenging because they want longevity, and that just comes down to the risks associated with casual employment and termination. The other part to that part-time, we probably would be looking at around 6 months for secondary employment, 3 to 6, depends on the lender. And as I said, there's lenders and there's lenders, okay? There's lenders that will do things as a niche, and that's probably a more one-off exemption. Another question here is first home buyer for an investment property, or if I'm just going to live in the property. Two really different conversations. So we can look at, how am I going to answer it? It's probably the best way to put it is to sit down with us. We have access to live software that helps come off the back of the lenders, okay? And what we do with our clients is we go through this software. So we can run multiple scenarios in that software. So that might be to look at a investment property, and then it may be to look at to live in the property. In terms of the grants and the exemptions, etc., from the government, there are limitations around moving into the property. A lot of those are available for owner-occupied. Some of those are available for both. But then there may be limitations on when you can move out and actually turn that into an investment property. And that may be, I'm just thinking in terms of the stamp duty exemptions and so on, it's usually around the 12-month mark. But then there's also ways, and positive tax could definitely help you with this in terms of capital gain benefits and so on for doing it that way as well. So as I was talking about before, building that team around you, that team that you build around you will be your backbone. Okay, and it's all about, and we hear a lot of Jason and our mentors talk about this, that having a strategy and having a plan and having the right advice is really paramount, because we need to know where we're going. So I think that's probably the best advice that I could give to anyone that's looking to get into the property game. If I look at when I very first started coming into the property game, I did not, even as a broker and someone in finance, it's very different sitting on the other side. There's emotions and so on. You want the property, you really want to do this, and how can I change it around to make sure that I get it? When you're the consumer, it's a very different ballgame than sitting over here as the broker. So I think, relying on those people would be the most important. Then once we sit down, go through your strategy, we can discuss things like pre-approval or, and what the next steps are from there. And our job doesn't end once the loan is approved, okay? Our job is only just starting. It's a long-term strategy with you. Then we're looking at, as I said before, debt reduction strategies and so on to come into the market. Damien, can you think of anything on top of that I may have missed?
Yeah, for sure. Look, really some really key points and some really great questions from the audience today, which has been really, really great. But also is that I think with the other parts of it that we also need to think about is that think about if you're going to look at changing jobs, or looking at maybe getting an extra credit card because you might need it, or a personal loan. Best thing to do as well is that with those key points is talk to either us here in Positive Money or even your current banks as well, just to make sure that what your goals are going to be looking at if you're looking at buying your first home or even looking at our next property strategy. Is it going to be worthwhile in servicing purposes? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you can actually service a debt on what you've currently got now, or if you're actually going to have a few little changes, can we actually make those debt consolidations to either improve your servicing to make it a little bit better for you as well? And we've got one here from Tim. A strategy change over time as some assets don't work out as planned and need to sell them. Great question there, Tim. I mean, look, as you probably heard from Sarah's perspective and things like that, and I'll even get Sarah jump in this conversation as well, that, some assets do not work out, and you just need that sort of strategy and talking to the right people just to make sure that, can it be useful as for an asset to make it work for a little bit at the time being, or do you need to sell it to improve your portfolio. And you
And
probably
this is what I was talking about before, Damien, having that team behind you, even as simple as is my asset working well for me, is a multi-prong approach. Okay,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
if I look at the 6-star team and start naming people, right? So we've got Positive Tax would come into that, your mentoring would come into that, and we would come into that. So, that's 3 lots of people that can help you make that decision. If I look back at the beginning of my investment property journey, I probably should have let things go a lot quicker than I did. But we don't know what we don't know. And that's why we reach out to the professionals. And, look, I've made the mistakes and I hope that everyone can learn from that so that you don't need to make them. But coming into advice and making sure that we can bring those people together, that would mean that you're making informed decisions. And I think that's really the most powerful part of all of this, is that by having access to multiple areas, you as the consumer or you as the owner can make an informed decision. So if I look at a specific lender, for example, for you, and I make that recommendation to you, you've still got the power of control. There's still other lenders. We can still try for other things, but it's why did we reach that decision, and explaining it to you, how we can, why that may be the right fit for you moving forward, or is there a strategy to do something for now but move you into something different. As I said before, it's all about your own personal money story.
Absolutely. And, it's always good to actually have a game plan in advance as well, because, sometimes when you do talk to people like us and with the 6-star team, everyone really gets excited. Everyone really gets involved and, really wants to have those opportunities straight away. Sometimes they can happen really straight away, but it's making sure that having those conversations right from the beginning and calming everybody down, to making sure that, is it the right decision? Is it the right plan? Can you actually make it work? Can everything be smooth sailing? Because you don't want to have those sort of ones where, it might be a little bit more difficult near the end. And was it that right opportunity to make a go ahead with that purchase, or even with that, your next investment opportunity? So having those good conversations, asking even the right questions. Don't even assume that the littlest basic question that you think, I should have asked that or shouldn't have asked that, is always going to be the right question, because at the end of the day, you've got the right people to give you those right answers and guide you through it.
I agree, Damien. And I think, we're here for anything. We're here to be counsellor. We're here to to answer the what you may feel is a silly question, and help support you and take the stress out of the journey. Particularly when you're very first starting out, taking that very first step. What is a conveyancer? What is what is stamp duty? What is LMI? What is LVR? I don't understand all these things. Can you please explain them to me? And that's what we're here for, to debug and demystify the world of finance.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we?
No, I think, look, the right move is always just to get started. Okay, come and have a chat to us. We don't bite. So, we've got a great team here at Positive Money, and I think all of our brokers would love to have an opportunity to sit down with anyone that just wants to see where they stand, to get into the property market, and what may be available to you in terms of grants, and particularly being an election year, what is available to you in terms of benefiting out of that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And look, like I said, you don't have to be afraid to ask us any kind of questions, whether it is right or wrong, because the more information that you either get from us or even from the 6-star team, the better that you actually understand and making those right decisions and getting your portfolio expanding the way you should be, not the way that you thought it might be, and you're having those little curves at the end of it. So thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you to everybody who enjoyed this Wealth Coffee Chat for a Friday. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6 Star team here at positivementor.com.au.